Hello gunners, welcome to another video, and of course, it's a brilliant weekend for us. Liverpool losing to Manchester United, Arsenal extend their lead to the top of the Premier League by 3 points, and the salt from everybody involved who doesn't want Arsenal to win the Premier League is crazy right now. But before I do begin and get into all of that, if you are new here, please do hit the subscribe and the like as well. It's always greatly appreciated. But where we're going to start actually is a quote which has been trending throughout the week from Arne talking about Arsenal and viewing set pieces from a negative light. I think the irony in this was that Manchester United beat Liverpool in the dire moments of the game at Anfield through a set piece situation. But let's just have a listen to what he said to the media about set pieces, and it was just kind of hilarious. So just have a listen.
We haven't scored from a set piece. If you would tell me that we've conceded 40% of our goals from set pieces, and the number one in the league has scored 60% of their goals from set pieces, and we're still 1 point behind that team, I would probably think that's not even that bad.
How about that? So basically, Arne Slot using Arsenal as a way to sort of look at his own set piece troubles and trying to get himself out of it. And I've noticed this common trend with Arne Slot recently. He's got a lot of excuses coming out of his mouth in terms of the way he speaks about Liverpool, and he doesn't want to take responsibility for their poor form. If it isn't down to him, it's down to set pieces, it's down to a refereeing decision. Something shouldn't happen. Even a game against Manchester United, he's claiming there could have been a penalty for Liverpool, claiming that the McAllister head injury. Look, Liverpool have had, I would say, for the majority of this season, if we look at their games, quite a lot of things go for them in terms of the last minute winners. And I think now we're starting to see their real position in terms of the Premier League. They haven't really started to gel. Obviously, I'm not writing them off. I think that would be such a stupid thing to do. But what I am saying is they've got a manager here who is just looking at other teams as a way to sort of analyze his own team, and saying that Arsenal are first, scoring majority 60% of their goals from set pieces, essentially saying that Arsenal are a set piece team, and our position is just due to those set pieces. It's crazy, to be honest. But yeah, this was the tweet that made me laugh the most in terms of talking about Arne Slot and Arsenal and that statement and Liverpool. Arne Slot's Liverpool conceding from a corner again, while Mikel Arteta's Arsenal won from a set piece after Slot spent the whole international break calculating the percentage of goals Arsenal have scored from set pieces. Poetic justice. And I think that is a beautiful tweet because it just epitomizes the whole thing that has just happened. Liverpool conceding from a set piece, Arsenal winning games from a set piece. And it's kind of funny to see how the tables can turn, because just before the international break, when we're going against Newcastle, the whole narrative was if Arsenal couldn't beat Newcastle, then Arsenal were out of the title race. So that is the reality that we were in. And it just goes to show, even now, I'm not going to be too sort of cocky about where Arsenal are at the minute, because football can change so much. There's been, a plus 10 point swing in the past 3 game weeks, which is just quite remarkable. And you're looking at the way that Manchester City are operating. You can never write off Erling Haaland. We know how much of an absolute sort of machine he is in terms of bringing Manchester City up across the table into second. So look, he can easily carry them to a title. So we've got to be wary of that. But we've also got to understand and sort of point out when these rival managers, it's not even just the fans, it's the managers, try and put down Arsenal's position, saying it's kind of fake due to set pieces, etc., etc. But yeah, I found that kind of funny. But let us move on to another reaction from Don Hussam. I'm obviously going to roll the clip of what he said when Arsenal had won by a set piece, and him talking about Arne Slot's sort of comments, and then Liverpool lose to Manchester United, and now he's talking about Arne Slot being a coward manager. So let's just have a listen to Hussam's reaction once again to when Arsenal scored from a set piece against Fulham.
Shit the whole game, score set piece, done. There is no point, bro. There's actually no point. And the funny part is they were mad at Slot for pointing out the obvious.
It did make me laugh watching that. It genuinely did, because he was backing Arne Slot, saying Arne Slot was right. Arsenal are just a set piece team, and it's not sustainable to win games by set pieces. And but I feel like set pieces as a whole, I said this in the other video, they're becoming increasingly important. You're looking at the different games that have been played across this weekend, and you're looking at how teams have won and how the first goal was scored. Akimpong was from a set piece situation. Tottenham against Aston Villa was a set piece situation, Bentancur scoring. Then you're looking at Manchester United's winner from a set piece situation. So all of these goals being scored, even Sunderland against Wolves, it was from a set piece situation. Set pieces aren't sort of an area where defenses can be as settled, especially when you push out of the box. It's really hard to regroup. So that's why it's becoming increasingly more important, because obviously from open play, set pieces, sort of, you can't really have, you can have more of those gaps, and when it's open play, those gaps are really, really easy to plug. So you're going to see more teams scoring and opening games with set pieces, and I think that's absolutely fine. But the way that people make it out to seem is that Arsenal are the only team which needs set pieces in order to win games, and it is crazy because every team has them available and other teams are doing it, but there's not as much media attention towards it. But let's now look at Hussam's reaction to when Liverpool, reaction is hilarious.
We can talk about everything that's happening wrong at this football club. We have to address the root cause. The root cause of the issue is Arne Slot in this moment in time. He's the one that's putting these players out there in a system, in a style that does not work. Arne Slot fixed his mistake. Okay, why make the mistake in the first place?
So after saying that Arne Slot was right in terms of Arsenal being a set-piece team, the day later, he's blaming Arne Slot for where Liverpool's situation is and how his cowardice is in terms of the lineup. It's just funny how football changes around. Like 24 hours ago, he was correct for saying that Liverpool are a second only because Arsenal score from set pieces 60% of their goals. He genuinely calculated that going into a press conference. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. Then you're now looking at the way the fans are reacting. I've seen so many Liverpool fans now saying Slot out, which is just hilarious, to be honest, because, again, he was better than Arteta for winning that title, and fair play to him. Can't write him off. He did deserve the title last year. I think Liverpool were phenomenal, but in the context of the season, Arsenal had injuries, but nobody cares about that, really, do they? They don't really want those sort of narratives to be the case. They just want Arsenal to be bottlers. But I think what we're seeing is now 4 defeats on the bounce, and that's the difference. Arsenal were capable of doing those things, but as we saw against Liverpool, we were able to sort of lose that game, but bounce back straight away. Even the draw against Manchester City, we drew that game, but we're bouncing back. I think that's now 3 victories in the Premier League in a row, and I think we've got about 5 in all competitions in a row. Big game against Atletico Madrid coming on in the week, but our position is looking very, very healthy. Like, I'm showing you guys the Premier League table right now. Arsenal on 19 points. Look at that goal difference. City, quite scarily, is just 1 goal behind us. We know their quality. We know how they can just turn it on, especially as the season progresses. Then you're looking at Liverpool, 4 points. It was 5 points gap going into the Newcastle game. Could have been 8 if we didn't win it. Or I think it was actually the weekend that Crystal Palace beat Liverpool. But we are starting to win when it matters most. There's no sort of bottling. It may not be vintage performances, but we're beating teams that we previously struggled against. And I think that is just a massive, massive boost in terms of we're looking at Arsenal season now compared to the others. But anyway, that's it for now. Let me know your thoughts on the things discussed in this video. But until next time, peace.